Hello, welcome to Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. Looking ahead to the California legislative session, a couple topics are high on the list. One, some conversation about changing Prop 13, another about increases to tuition for students in the UC and California state schools. With us now, Assemblyman Don Wagner to discuss such things. Changes to Proposition 13. We've seen a chipping away, a few attempts in the past couple of years to change into split roles. Explain what's going on.
Well, it's going to come back a proposal to do split roll, and essentially what split roll is that the protections for Prop 13 will continue to exist for residential property, but it won't continue to exist for commercial property. Essentially, you'll split the roles between residential and commercial, and the Prop 13 protections will no longer apply to commercial property. It'll drive up the cost of commercial property. It will increase the business unfriendly nature of this state. It's a bad idea, but it is a perennial and it's coming back. And
it keeps coming back, and it's one that would go to the voters to decide. And it's one that you might assume eventually there are more voters who do not own commercial property and don't really see it as something that would affect them because they wouldn't be charged at least directly. You might say that that's not the case.
Well, no, it's certainly the case that that's how a change to Prop 13 would get sold if it is sellable. But the bottom line is, ultimately, the folks who visit these businesses that are now the commercial properties that are going to be taxed differently, they're going to pay it because it's going to be reflected in the prices of whatever commodity they're buying. It's going to be reflected in if it's a restaurant, it's going to be reflected in the price of food. I mean, the public is going to pay it. It's just a little bit more disguised than a direct assault on Prop 13. But make no mistake, it is a tax increase and it's an assault on Prop 13.
Some might say, you know, other states don't have the conveniences of Prop 13 and they're doing fine.
Well, there's no question that other states don't have Prop 13, but other states also don't have the same economic and tax base that we have. The reason Prop 13 got put in place in the first place remains a very viable reason for protections. It's not as if we're not taxing people. We are. We're just taxing them in a different way. And if you start chipping away at Prop 13, well, you're going to have the existing tax structure, and then you're going to have these new taxes. It's just another way to get into people's pocketbooks, and it's the wrong thing to do when our economy is sluggish and when we are still fighting through the effects of really a very bad recession several years ago.
Okay, and that will be a loud and clear debate moving forward for this next session. We have also heard from the UC Board of Regents voting to increase tuition for California's university students. What do you say about that?
Well, I say that's a very bad idea. They're looking to balance the shortfall in the UC budget on the back of the students. The legislature, in a bipartisan show of support for the students, has pushed back on that plan. There are several alternatives that are floating through the legislature. We've just gotten back in session, so it's very early yet to see what will end up coming out of the current session. But I do know the governor and the legislature itself really is looking very closely at this plan. The UC system is one of the jewels of California, and if we're going to start pricing the middle class out of it, we're not doing a service to our constituents, and more importantly, we're tarnishing that jewel. So
some make the argument that the tuition's been held frozen for the last 3 years, and others say, well, Prop 30 was supposed to settle all this, right. So that debate.
Well, we had that debate over education in Proposition 30. The voters said that they were going to give us more money out of their hard-earned pocketbooks for education, and so what the legislature is saying is, okay, thank you very much, we appreciate that, but we're not now going to double-cross you and turn around and raise tuition anyway.
So the regents voted, but it's not a done deal. Assemblyman Don Wagner, thank you so much for being here.